Nigerians, President Tinubu must not see this video for the sake of peace, because wetin this lawyer just exposed for inside this particular video about the update wey dey trend about President Tinubu and this our bishop. President Tinubu no go like am. The whole truth don finally come out. Make una lis ten to wetin this lawyer dey expose for inside this particular video. Im own reaction about the happenings in this country and so many questions wey dey ask am for inside this video, and the update wey dey trend about President Tinubu and this our bishop. See, I no be very dark man fan so, but I don see the reason why very dark man talk say na only fool na go vote for APC 2027 after listening to this video. Make una watch the video.
Cut across social media with some people saying that how can a man in religious garments come out and start talking about Pastor Adeboye? They are saying that his remarks were driven by envy, driven by rage bait in an attempt to make Pastor Adeboye come out. They are saying that Pastor Adeboye does not have to involve himself in talking about it, especially when he, according to some sections, he has chosen prayer over getting involved in politics.
You see, prayer without work, faith without work is nothingness. First of all, if any of the pastors think prayers alone can solve any problem, I would like to welcome one of them here, and they pray and we get a plate of food to eat. Then that way we know that prayer can solve problems. I'm not saying prayer is not good, but you have to pray for God's grace, then you put in some action. You have to do some work. So saying that he takes to only prayers doesn't add up. When you become a leader, let alone a religious leader, you should not be scared of anybody or any debt. You should not be scared or biased towards any side. Whether it, okay, let me give you an example. People are crying out that he spoke against Adeboye. Okay? What if there is a pastor somewhere, like the ones we see on the internet, that touch women inappropriately in the name of doing miracles or delivering them? So if he spoke against those ones, will he still be bad? Or is it because it's Adeboye? You know, we Christians sometimes we act, I don't know what word to use, like we're hypnotized. You take out irrational reasoning because your pastor is not God, he's human. He's a representative of God. And for someone like me, he only gets that acknowledgement as a representative of God when he speaks the way he's supposed to. And that should be speaking to people's conscience, speaking the truth. There's a quotation in the Bible, I think it's Ezekiel 3:17, that says, that's where God gives them the mandate to speak out to things that are wrong. You don't keep quiet. You've been given an authority as a pastor. You should speak to things that are wrong, whether it's your child or another person's child. Whoever is wrong, the union is on you to speak. Keeping quiet means, sometimes it sounds like consent, like you're accepting what is happening. The country is in shambles. No discussing it. I've never seen anything like this since I was born. I'm over 50. You understand? Everything is going wrong. Everything. And I see the president speak and he says the country is going well. I don't know where that information comes from. There's something Fela said sometime when he was being asked about government. He said Obasanjo is a dangerous man and his government is a dangerous government. Then when he was asked about Shagari, he said Shagari is not a dangerous man, but his government is a dangerous government. So what we're seeing today, Tinubu might have all the good intentions, but unfortunately he can't get anywhere with it. Why? Because he has a dangerous government. With the major players in that government, there's no way anything desirable by Nigerians to come out of that. There's a lot of leakages, stealing, and they have a lot of baggage, so they can't speak to some things. When you've been part of a robbery, you can't talk about that robbery. You don't even want the case to escalate. So they've dipped their legs and hands into all sort of dirty things and corruption in the past, so they can't actually do the right thing because those people will pull the strings. Like Wala said, corruption will always fight back. So the ones they've been involved in the past is fighting them now. It limits the country. The resources we're spending versus the result we're getting, you cannot match it. How does a country not run its budget 2 circles, 3 circles? And people who call themselves leaders that we should respect and honor will keep quiet. It doesn't work. So even if you're a politician outside of religious leaders and you see something going wrong and you keep quiet because at that point you're gaining, on another day if you speak, someone like me will not listen to you. That's the way I look at it. So Adeboye is a good Christian. We respect him. Everybody in this country that is a Christian should respect him. He's a good man. You understand? But unfortunately, why he's keeping quiet, I don't know. And he should understand that because the president's wife It's part of his church. That is why people are going to take more notes of whatever he does. So he should speak like a father. He's 84, I think. At 84, what are you scared of? You're a Christian. You have a place in heaven. Well, are you scared to go home? If they kill you, you go back home and relax and have fun.
Mr. Chilaka, it's cascaded, out of proportion already. Some certain region, defending Pastor Adeboye. It turned out to be a tribal war at this point in time. And also bringing this to what Yahaya Jingri said about the Muslim dominance because of the Muslim ticket and all that stuff. Does this bother you how fragile Nigerian unity is at this point in time? Instead of to speak truth to power, their defense there from a certain tribe defending Adeboye, and also in the same breath, Yahaya Jingri talking about the Muslim dominance in Nigeria. Speak to the Nigerian unity.
It's you see, this kind of silence we're talking about from religious leaders is the reason why we're seeing stuff like that. If you go to the internet and see any post, from the names, you can see the fragmentation. It's obvious and it's terrible. And it's part of the rules of religious leaders to bring unity and cohesion. But they will keep quiet when it favors them. Then on December 31st, they call people to come and do crossover nights. People have been crossing over for 20, 30 years of their life and nothing has changed. And they're still crossing over. Why are people being so stupid? Why are we being so empty? Like when it comes to religion, it's like people just shut their brains. The same man who knows to seize a car that will kill him and dodge will see a wrong doctrine, and because it's faith, he chooses to shut his eyes. Like what I said, you are a Christian, okay? You have a kingdom in paradise, isn't it? God is your father. There's paradise has been created for all of us. So why are you scared to go home when the need for it comes? It should be, the saints that we emulate today were glad to die when the opportunities came. So I don't know, the pastors who keep private jets, you have an opportunity to prophesy to the people, to preach to the people when you're in an open aircraft. You lose it, you go into a caucus, you go inside a private jet and fly all alone. When did the gospel become an emergency? When does it become something for the elite? The country is fragmented. The Muslims are not helping it. I even give them credence because they have a strong brotherhood with themselves. If Christians were that close and were that bonded, like what we're seeing with Adeboye, and if these people had a proper bond, trust me, they will get more respect from.
There's something Bishop Chukwuma said, and I want to get your input and appreciation, regarding that. Yeah. That it's time for Christians to be now radical. What's your take on that statement?
100% I agree. There's an Igbo saying that if a snake does not do what makes it a snake, children will use it to tie firewood. So the disrespect and the disregard for Christians, like where those are. Look at what's happening in Benue. Do the Muslims outnumber the Christians? Why are they running from them? If they operate in the night, you operate in the night as well. Let us see what happens. So if someone knows there's a consequence, I always talk about consequence management. When people know there's a consequence to attacking you, they won't do it. I remember when they used to attack people in the north a lot, until they started killing people in the Chanaba. And since then, we've not heard anything like that again. So, Peter cut off a soldier's ear when they were, The Israelites are the people who, in their place, everything we believe in our faith happened. Today, they are they have nuclear weapon. They're fighting for their country. They're fighting for their space. And we're here saying that a known leader is resorting to only prayer. People should stand. Christians need to stand. Everybody should stand.
All right. Now, I wanted to point out the key issue here for many people. They believe that it's an oddity, an anomaly for an Anglican Archbishop Emeritus to go ahead to speak against to speak up rather about his fellow religious leader. Do you think that is an anomaly? Because when you see the headline couched, Anglican Archbishop Emeritus speaks like, Pastor Adeboye, it starts to pit this denominational debate, Anglicans versus Pentecostals, that kind of thing. And then, of course, defense from both sites. Is it an oddity, what is transpiring on social media?
You know, they are supposed to be like moral authorities. They're not just leaders as well. Okay, so if they can't check one another when they're going astray, they're also not doing what they're supposed to do. It should be a brotherhood. So calling out a brother when he's done something wrong, it's only people who love you that will see you walking out of the house with a torn clothes and tell you to go change it. Your enemies will be glad to see you walk around with a torn clothes. So if he's calling his colleague and saying, brother, what you're doing is not right, this is not what's expected of us, there's nothing wrong with that. Absolutely nothing wrong with that. So just because people are sentimental when it comes to religion, that's why a woman will feed the pastor with better food than the husband. Because she's insane, that's the way I look at it. You know, because it's even in the Bible that if you make an accord with God and you go home and it's not binding by your husband, that it's okay to cancel it. God himself. But these days, people they read the Bible in phrases and clauses. They don't read contextually. So a lot of our religious leaders are more engrossed with finances. You see how they enforce payment of, what do they call that thing they pay? 10%. You know, they enforce that so much, but you don't enforce your people to go and vote to protect our faith. You will not enforce our people. That's, for me, they're selfish, because if you're protecting the faith, you're not just doing it for yourself now, you're going to do it for the future. Because if we don't have the right kind of government, and that's what's happening in Nigeria now, if you don't have it, in a short time, there will be no Christianity in this country. Right. So, as a Christian leader, the way you enforce paying tithes, you enforce people dressing in certain ways to church, you should be able to enforce people to vote the right candidate. That is what I expect of them.
Now, you mentioned something crucial in this conversation, that one of the reasons why Pastor Adeboye's name continues to come up is because of the First Lady of the Federal Republic of Nigeria is a pastor at his church. So somehow it continues to steer this debate around relationship with the Tinubu administration, right? Judging by the nature of the conversation now, would you say that alone justifies the need for him to speak up? Or is it just, people just trying to put two and two together?
There's so many reasons why he should speak up. That is just one. The fact that he's a leader of faith and a moral authority compels him to speak up.
But there are also, the argument here is that there are also many people that should be speaking up. Why do the people continue to call Pastor Adeboye?
He who wears the hat, he occupies a very prime position as a religious leader. It's just like the Pope. He's the Pope. He's like a Pope in this country. Yes, do you know how many million people are in his church? About 40 million. What percentage of Nigerians is that? That's a lot of influence. What percentage of Christians? That's a lot of influence.
But so one would argue, is he the only influential pastor in Nigeria?
No, he's, because we believe he has an influence, because he has a door into that Aso Rock. This is your pastor. We expect him to be able to correct some things. I know Tinubu flies around with private jet and spends money in big ways, has big projects and stuff. And the more the president's wife is telling you to go and fly Akara. Can you start with your son? Is that Christianity?
Is Pastor Adeboye being persecuted?
I don't think so. He's being held accountable. Outside these things, he's an elder. At that age, you can see how Obasanjo talks now. He's not scared of anybody. That's what we expect of Adeboye. He's an elder. Under no condition will someone like me stand in front of him and insult him. He's a father. He's about the age of my father. So I'm sure he has children who are already elders. So why would you keep quiet to wrongdoings? The country is unsafe. The economy is roasting. It's expected of you to speak. If you don't want to speak, don't come up. I said some things about politics sometimes. I said, why some of us are not there? Because they're not ready to rumble with what's going on. So if you don't want to be up there, don't even go up. If you go up, you have to speak. You can't go up and keep quiet. I'll give you an example. It's like some things happening in this country. It's a bad thing. And you see that the news focuses on the fact that the president have not spoken to what happened. They say, Tinubu has not made a speech. He needs to talk. That's what happens to you when you become a leader. It's not optional for you to speak. Your silence can become damaging and destructive.
But can a religious leader call out a fellow religious leader?
A religious leader should be able to call out anybody that is not doing well or not acting well. He has that moral authority and responsibility. It's not a choice. It's like part of your KPI to speak the truth when you say it. Just like when we're young back in the days. If you're doing something wrong, it doesn't have to be your mother. If you see any mother coming, you take to your heels. Because they will flog you first and then take you home to your mother to be flogged the second time.
Okay, speaking is one thing, right? Speaking truth to power is one thing, and yielding to the truth being told is another thing. I will take you back to what happened a couple of days ago, or a couple of weeks rather, and I would want for you to tell me how you received the whole back and forth. I'm talking about the Catholic bishops. They went to visit the president and told him the real story in the streets. Now is the talk he needs to hear, not he wants to hear, which sycophants tell him what he wants to hear, not need to hear. But we got the backlash. The spokesperson to the presidency and even from other quarters and whatnot. So how do you even make this make sense? To speak truth to power, to tell the presidency this is the needs of the people and this is what you need to hear, not what you have to hear or want to hear. But at the end of the day, he's there defending. Because when you talk about the economy, he said, yeah, the economy the reform is working, the policies, they are on the right trajectory. We're talking about security. It is what it is in his response. We're talking about INEC. He was holding brief for INEC. So now we're talking about what the president needs to hear and not what the president wants to hear. How do you receive everything that happened a couple of weeks ago?
The bishops, I give them credit for going, but I think they went a bit too late. They should have been doing this a long time ago. That's one. Two, the presidency being defensive, are you scared? Are you worried? Are you surprised? What have they not defended? Telling us the president's age? Or see his academic documents? Everything about our present leader is shady. I mean, he's been hiding. So there's nothing that surprised me about their reaction. Backlash, usual. They backlash at everything. But as a religious leader or as any form of leader, you shouldn't be scared of backlash. It's part of being a leader. People are gonna. Is it not Tinubu that said that when he goes on the internet, they will blast him? They will blast you as a leader, no matter how small. Just leading a group of 10 people, you expect backlash, let alone those men. So the bishops did what they're supposed to do as leaders, which is what I expect of every leader in the country. If they keep being comrades and hiding each other, protecting each other, they destroy the whole essence of them being religious leaders. They are moral compasses and authority. They're expected to checkmate people when they're derailing. You're not supposed to keep quiet. Keeping quiet is an offense. It's not just not doing what you're supposed to. You are committing an offense by keeping quiet because people look up to you. Trust me, if Adeboye goes up the pulpit and speaks or goes into a press conference and speaks to anything, it resonates across this country.
Archbishop Emeritus Emmanuel Chukwuma he asked a strong question, a really sensitive question. And I quote him, "Are you saying your wife is an infidel? Are you comfortable with that statement, Mr. President?" That is Archbishop Emeritus Most Reverend Emmanuel Chukwuma speaking. And many people hear that, and if they're reading a paper, they look up and they wonder, what is the response of the president going to be? Because this is coming after what Sheikh Jingid said. If you've not said anything, are you comfortable with your wife, who is a Christian, being referred to with such language? How did you feel when you heard that? What would you classify such a question? Was it rhetoric?
There's nothing wrong with that question. Nothing. We have freedom of speech. This is democracy. People can say what they want. It's your choice. The president and the wife, that combination is supposed to bring the most religious, tolerant state. Because I'm surprised, after how many years of being married, none had been able to convert the other.
Thank you for watching that video. So guys, before you leave, look at the down here. Do well to subscribe and also put on your notification bell so that whenever we upload any video in this great platform, you will be the first to see it. And please Don't forget,